I always have somebody saying thank you. That is what fuels me. That's what keeps me going. How could you stop?
From humble beginnings in a basement to an international multi-million-dollar company, Pure Romance is now leading the conversation in women's sexual health and is one of the country's top in-home direct selling firms. It's a company that has evolved, bringing better products to market and changing the lives of hundreds of thousands of women along the way. It's a company built on the success of its consultants, and Pure Romance consultants are quite simply the best in the business.
Then 6 months of starting, I quit my full-time job, bought my own insurance, and it's been a ride ever since.
I love that feeling of being in charge and that we're given that freedom and yet not feel like we're floating around out there completely by ourselves.
I love it, the friends that I've made. Some of my best friends are in Pure Romance.
I would have to say Pure Romance is in my blood. I love to do parties. I love helping other women achieve the success that I've achieved in the past. I have the passion.
20 years of empowering women, 20 years of fun, 20 years of success. This is Pure Romance.
I hosted a party and told the girl it was going to be terrible, and 40 women showed up to my house. So I definitely saw there was a need.
Everything has just always been about empowering and educating women, and here I found this business where I was doing that, so it was a great fit.
With my background of helping women in an OBGYN's office, I found this as a fun way of helping educate women in a safe place like their home.
I was a single mom looking for a way to be able to stay home with my little boy, and I ran across an interview on the radio of a woman who was in this kind of business. And I thought that would be an interesting way to earn a living, a fun way to earn a living. Called her, she came up and did a party for me, and I was hooked.
We know we're working for our consultants, so we have to deliver. Their livelihood, their business depends on us.
I have met the most amazing women on this journey in the field and in the office. And I couldn't say that I will be here until I die.
When I first started with Pure Romance, it was totally different than it is today. Trainings, I mean, you learned everything that you did from your sponsor, from attending a party, from the little meetings that we had. There weren't any major trainings, and today there is just so much more available to the girls than what we had back then.
Going to Chicago and experiencing the baseball game on Wrigley Field, and that's where we started with them. All the way, fast forward 15 years, renting mansions on a cliff in St. Martin. I mean, it's just amazing.
You had to become a part of it. You wanted to become a part of it. And from there, it was just like no holds barred. I didn't care about anything. I just wanted to make Pure Romance as good as it could be. And
I'm amazed every day the connections that I've made with customers, the emails that I've received, Facebook messages, phone calls, text messages. It's overwhelming sometimes, the people who you've touched and the way that you've touched their lives.
From the day I first started Pure Romance, I would have never thought that I would have been able to accomplish or do the kinds of things or have the kind of opportunities presented to me that I have.
I have a value, I have a mission that has really given me a drive. And that drive has really moved me forward.
It was such a sophisticated, educational, fun, entertaining experience that I wanted others to experience that as well.
I love seeing the light in the girl's eyes when she gets that aha moment. I love teaching, and I don't think there'll become a day when I won't do parties.
Every time you get to meet a consultant who comes up to you and says, I did this because of my business, or I was able to buy the house that I always wanted because of this business, or my kids are going to private school because of this business, or they get themselves out of debt. They can do any number of these things that they probably didn't think were possible before Pure Romance. That's why I fell in love with this business.
It was just after I had made my decision to go full-time, and my father said, Sharon, I want you to know, I think you're making the right business decision. And I could have cried because it was such validation, because they've seen how hard I'm working and they are realizing that I'm a businesswoman, and that's what this is. Pure Romance is a business, and it is a successful business.
I worked in an OBGYN's office prior to my daughter being born. I went back to work for 2 days, cried my eyes out the entire time. They told me to go home, be with my daughter. We ended up going down to a one-income family. I gave Pure Romance a shot, and now I'm able to still have my family as my #1 priority and still have the income to provide for my home.
I just thought that this would be a great way for me to work for myself. I didn't like having the rug snatched from under me, and so I felt like working for myself, I would, be more in control of the income that I earned, my time, and just my overall quality of life.
I thought it was going to be something that would just get me out of the house once or twice a month and give me a little extra spending money, and I quickly realized that it was so much more than that.
I never did really feel that there was anything else for me other than the factory job, basically, because that's what my parents did and that's what I always figured that I'd be doing as well. I wanted to be married and have kids. So that's what I did, and I knew that, I had to work to pay for the kids.
So we were at rock bottom with our lives. My husband had had a bad car accident. My car had been repossessed. I found out I was pregnant with baby number 4 and was going to lose my house to foreclosure. So it was definitely a do or die for me. Something had to change.
I decided to go ahead and start the business and do it on the side and see what would happen. Within 4 months, I was able to quit my job and be home with my son, who was a baby at the time.
Pure Romance is not a product-driven company, it's a people-driven company. We're sitting there and we've got the dreams of thousands of women on any given day are our responsibility to try to fulfill.
It's being able to think that you're actually making a difference in those women's lives and that their lives are better as a result of you.
Chris and I, when we first started working on the road, he's like, oh, in 3 years, your override check should be $5,000. And I laughed at him. I just laughed at him. Like, yeah, right, okay. And within like 6 months, they were $5,000. I'll never forget the first time he called me and told me it was $10,000. I about fell on the floor. I never would have thought. And I never planned it. It just happened. I just worked hard and worked for what I believed in, and dreams come true.
If you want this, you can do this. And I have seen the least likely to succeed become quite amazing.
Giving themselves self-confidence and self-worth, running a business and being able to help support their families gives them a confidence they could never get anywhere else.
I own myself now. I'm much more confident, my shoulders are back, and I'm proud of who I am, and I'm proud of the business that I've built.
Being able to take my husband on a cruise, being able to give back to him from all his support that he's been given to me.
I still live in the house I was going to lose, and instead of the car that I lost, I have a nicer car. And my husband got to retire his job at 29 years old, and Pure Romance is our full-time income.
I was able to pay the bills. If the kids wanted something, Mom was paying for it. And that was exciting to me because, it's a man's world, and women don't always get that justification. And I was like, you know what? Sorry, hun, but I'm doing this. And I was really proud of that.
The fact that I was able to get home with my son, get him out of that daycare, and get him well.
And I decided it was time to show everybody I did it. This is my dream, to live on an island in Clearwater Beach, Florida, and to be happy and enjoy the fruits of my labor.
My daughter has 2 horses in training, and she's living her dream of riding on an equestrian team for a college. And my son goes to private college, and he's living his dream. And my oldest is now a teacher in Arizona, living his dream. And all 3 of those kids will walk away without owing anything for student loans, because I've been able to give them that.
And when I have somebody look at me in tears after a party and say, where have you been? All my life, I've needed this. I didn't know.
The ultimate is still growing and growing and growing, and I can't wait to see what it can be in the next few years.
I feel like I've embraced being a woman and what that means to me. And I think that being able to educate women and entertain women and truly empower women has been phenomenal for me.
20 years of Pure Romance.
And we're just getting started.